Hey everybody, Mega31 back here for FSI DFS. I will be breaking down the 10-game slate for Monday, August 16th. This slate actually is pretty simple. There's a lot of options for GPP, but when it comes down to cash, I think we just need to jump right ahead and look at like Coors Field. Um, you have the San Diego Padres taking on the Colorado Rockies there. You have two very questionable pitchers. So bat-wise, I think, that's definitely where we're going to look on both sides of it. For cash. Pitching wise, there's really not too many options either. You have Garrett Cole coming back for the Yankees. We need to do a little bit more research and looking around to try to see. He's come back from COVID. Did he have COVID? Did he not have symptoms? Was he asymptomatic? Did he just test positive and they kept him out precautionary till he tested negative? Or did he actually come down with it? And will there be fatigue and will it affect his performance? So we don't know that. So I think right now he's a GPP. If we get word that he's okay, he's in a really good matchup. Besides Ohtani against the Angels at home, wind blowing in about 10 miles per hour, it's definitely something to look at. But I think, when we're talking pitching options, the other 10K guy tonight is going to be Kevin Gossman. And he gets the New York Mets, who, do have some power. Sometimes they can put up some runs, but they only have a 3.3 implied run total. Gossman has been solid recently. He's given up a couple earned runs here and there. Like he got beat up by Pittsburgh, which is kind of unexplainable. It's just one of those anomalies, like the San Diego Padres getting no hit by an Arizona pitcher, so things like that in baseball do happen. But relatively, he usually is in the high teens, the 20s. So I think he's definitely a solid option tonight. I think, he definitely has a floor of 20 DK points. And the other high price guy to consider would be Frankie Montas at 9.5. And he takes on Chicago White Sox in Chicago, wind blowing in there to about 10 miles per hour. And Chicago's got a decent lineup, but they're much better against left-handed pitching. And there are some strikeouts in this lineup. It's not like a super patient one. So that's, pitching and hitting for tonight. Let me just go through game to game. I'll pick out some other things and we'll do lineup construction at the end. But I think it's going to be really hard because to get two of these top pitchers and stack Coors is very difficult, or any of the other stacks that are really appealing. And there's really not a lot of great options, but there's some okay options, which I think, we can settle for, and we just got to figure out which the right one is, and we'll be okay. So like I said, first game is the Angels and the Yankees. You have Cole against Jose Suarez. Yankees get a lefty. So they're definitely a very interesting stack. Even, I don't know, Gallo against lefties sometimes, but Suarez has been so bad that I think that you can play Gallo here, but just loading up on the righties, I think they make it definitely an interesting stack. Even going down a little bit, like Voit and Higgy as catcher, who always catches Cole, is definitely in play. The Angels, the only one I played Ohtani, maybe Fletcher. Ohtani absolutely in a matchup at Yankee Stadium, I believe, against Cole, had a really great game last time out, but he's like one of the most expensive players on the slate. So I don't foresee you fitting him if you're in a GPP and you take some chances on some low pitchers and you have some salary for bats and take him as a one-off, then that's one thing. But they were pretty much leaving the Angels alone here. And they make it an interesting leverage stack if we think Cole is not going to be at the top of his game. But the Yankees, besides Britton, who struggled a little bit, have a decent bullpen. So I'm not really looking too much there. Next game would be the Reds and the Cubs. A little bit of rain threat here, but it looks like earlier in the day, by 8 o'clock, it's down to like about 25%. So maybe a delay, but they should be able to get that one in. You have Justin Steele and Wade Miley. Not interested in Justin Steele. Wade Miley, he's a low-K guy. He's just a pitcher, tries to get ground balls. I think he only throws like 86 miles per hour now. So he's like Bartolo Colon and some of those other pitchers, I think like Glavine, who was around forever, like guys that just throw pitches and throw junk at you and just try to get you to make contact and get out. He's not going to blow the ball by anybody. So, could he give up some runs? Yes. Is there a little bit of power on this Cubs team? Yes. So they do make an intriguing cheap stack. Miley, I think, is okay at pitcher at 8-2. It might be something that we have to settle on if we're playing up for one of the high price guys and trying to get cores in. Cincinnati Reds, definitely like them against Steele. India, Castellanos, Stevenson, Farmar, even Aquino. Like sometimes he's a pinch hit risk, but I think, he's okay there. I think Winker left yesterday's game. He might have gotten injured, so I'd have to keep an eye on him, but there's definitely a lot of righties here, and you probably throw Votto into that stack too. Maybe we'll get another right-handed bat also with if Winker is not in. So they definitely are a stack to consider. And GPP, I think they're my second favorite behind San Diego tonight if the weather holds up for that one. Next, we have Tampa Bay against the Baltimore Orioles. We have Colin McHugh. Looks like he's going to be an opener, so I'm out on him. Even Josh Fleming as the potential long reliever. Not really interested there either, because you never know if the long reliever is even going to come in or how long they're going to go. Matt Harvey on the other side. Been better recently, but he's a real stretch. I'm still fading him. Tampa Bay is a decent offense. He's a reverse splits pitcher, so definitely some of the righties are some of the better bats here too. Can definitely take advantage of that. So Tampa Bay would be my third favorite stack behind San Diego and Cincinnati. If you want to pivot off of Coors, I think they'd be the second place I'd go. I'll definitely have a stack of them in GPP tonight. Not interested in Matt Harvey, not interested in pitchers. Not with the mix and match in Tampa Bay having a really good bullpen. I'm not really interested in too many Oriole bats. I think they're a fade tonight. Their total is 3.10, one of the lowest ones on the slate. So staying away from that. Next, we have the Braves and the Marlins. You have Tuki Toussaint against Braxton Garrett. Garrett's been okay. Not a horrible pitcher. Toussaint, he's got so much potential, so much K upside that I think he's going to be a very popular SP2 tonight. I know he's struggled in some games. Like he came out really good early on and he had like 23 DK points against San Diego and then followed up with a 30 against Philly. And we thought, he's the next big thing. Then Milwaukee goes out there and puts up 7 runs against him. But the last 2 starts, he's only given up 2 runs in each of them. He's gone at least 5 innings. He had 5 Ks and 3 Ks. I think there's definitely K upside against this Marlins team. I think I'm comfortable. I think in most cases, he's going to be my starting point for pitching. I think I'm going to plug him in as an SP2 and then build my lineup and see, what's left, where if I can get up to one of the high guys or if I'm going to pair him with another medium to cheap pitcher tonight to get the bats I want. Marlins side, you can always do it as a GPP stack. We saw them put up inexplicably 14 runs the other day against a really good pitcher who we thought was in a really good situation. And that turned into a football game. You had the Dolphins 14 and the Bears 10 when they played Chicago. But, in baseball, like I said, crazy things can happen. So am I saying play them in cash? This is like $1 multi-entry stack, get some exposures to the Marlins in case Toussaint's chalk, and you take a lot of advantage there with leverage stack. Braves, I think they're just outside my top 8 tonight for stacks. I think they'd come in around probably 9th in my 5th GPP overall. You can't play everybody, so I'm not super interested in here. They have a total below 5. There's so many other ones in different better situations. Next, we have a game that looks like a pick 'em. It's going to be the Oakland Athletics and the Chicago White Sox. You have Frankie Montas and Dallas Keuchel. Montas, again, I'm okay with him. He's been solid recently. Like I said, the White Sox are a good offense, but they're better against a lefty. and they do have some strikeouts in there. Dallas Keuchel on the other side, really not interested in him. I think his K rate is below 20%. Again, veteran pitcher tries to get contact, and the A's have been hitting okay recently. So out of GPP stacks, they would fall as my number 3-1 here. Really been off Chapman this year, but he had 2 home runs, I think it was yesterday, and 1 home run the day before, or vice versa, but 3 home runs in the last day. So maybe he's starting a hot streak. He gets a left-handed pitcher who doesn't throw super hard. So he might be a sleeper today. 5.3 is a little high price to pay for him, but I'm actually, don't mind an Oakland stack here, like Kana, Marte, might skip Olsen, and do Lowry, Gomes, Chapman if I'm doing a 5-man. But again, we're talking GPP here. This is not a cash stack against Dallas Keuchel. On the other side, I think the White Sox might be a leverage stack if Montas is going to be if people are going to go like Gossman, Montas, or if Montas is going to be their SP1, if they're trying to save that like $1,000 or so to get some Coors bats, I think definitely a Chicago leverage stack makes a lot of sense here in a pick'em game. Next up, you have the Houston Astros and Kansas City Royals. You have Jake Odorizzi and Carlos Hernandez. Odorizzi he's a reverse splits guy also. He has been better recently. Can't really say he's a great pitcher. He hasn't had a quality start in 5 starts. He's given up 6 earned runs, 3 earned runs, 3 earned runs, 4 earned runs. So he probably is going to give up some runs. He might only get you 12 to 15 DK points, but at 7.3, it might be enough against the Royals. And another one, the cool temperature is only be like 60. No, 83 degrees. Sorry, can't read the screen. But that's not like blazing hot there. Wind blowing in. Looks like a nice day for baseball there. So I think he's in play. And if you end up in that range, I think, he's probably one of the better cheap options. Carlos Hernandez on the other side might be another dart to take. Like Houston has gone through like a power slump. Like Altuve hasn't hit a home run in the last 10 games. Brantley, he, I think maybe had one yesterday, but really hasn't hit many. Correa hasn't hit many. Alvarez haven't hit many. Tucker's out. Gurriel's back, so that helps them, but they've lost Tucker. So, I mean, Jake Myers has a lot of potential and is actually a really good punt if you need a 2K outfielder. McCormick is consistent, but he's not like someone that I fear for power either. So like I said before this on Saturday's video, this Houston team is going to make a run for the playoffs. The guys are going to get healthy and come back, but they're just trying to grind out this regular season. They're still putting up runs at like about 4 to 5, but they're not like, putting up crooked numbers left and right like usual. They have a 5.79 total, so I think a lot of people will maybe look at them based on the total. And I'm saying they're fine to stack. They'd be number 4 out of my GPPs tonight. But I don't think, Carlos Hernandez, we can completely write off. He's a very efficient, decent young pitcher. If I look, he's had 2 quality starts in the last 3 games. He only gave up 1 run to the Yankees, 1 run to the White Sox. He placed 0 runs to the White Sox. He faced them back to back. He gave up 4 runs to Detroit. Everybody has an off day, but before that, only 2 runs to Baltimore, 1 run to Cincinnati. He's going 5 to 6 innings. He's getting 4 to 6 Ks per game. So, and Houston doesn't strike out much. So we know that there's the K upside is not there. So he'd be closer probably to 4 than 6. But at 6'6", he can make a lot of work tonight. So he's definitely in play here, as is Odorizzi. Do like a Houston stack, but again, you're going to look for like grinding out runs, probably not a power explosion. Kansas City, I think, if you're looking for a cheap stack and a dollar, I wouldn't write them off. Just remember, play the righties. Don't fear them with the splits matchup because Odorizzi is a reverse splits guy usually. Cleveland Indians and the Minnesota Twins, you have Paul Quantrill, Griffin Jack. Here's 2 other pitchers who aren't spectacular, but they're not horrible. And they could also at 7.8 and 7K be kind of popular tonight. If you look at Quantrill, he has had 5 straight quality starts. So if you're playing on FanDuel, here it might, if you don't want to pay up for a pitcher, then here might be a really good option for you. Giving up 2 runs, 0 runs, 0 runs, 1 run, 1 run, 1 1, and then like early July was giving up about 3 runs a game, but still that's not bad. Faced Oakland, Detroit, the White Sox, St. Louis, Tampa Bay, Oakland. So today he has Minnesota, who's been pretty much stripped down with the trade deadline. Not a great team. So I think there's definitely some potential here at 7-8. He could be a solid play, especially with his form recently. Griffin Jack on the other side. If you look at him too, quality start against the White Sox last time. Only 1 run against Houston, 1 run against St. Louis, 1 run against the White Sox again. I gave up 6 against Kansas City. But again, like everybody has a bad day. And a little bit before that, it was like 3 and 4 runs. But he had 10 strikeouts against the White Sox. He had, before that, it looks like he averages anywhere from like 3 to 5. So probably, but there are some Ks in this Cleveland lineup besides Jose Ramirez. I love Reyes, but mostly against lefties. Straw is not a power hitter. He's more of a contact steal-based guy. Wilton Ramos against lefty, great. Zimmer, I mean, has shown some sparks of power here and there, but he hasn't had a home run in about 6 or 7 games. He hit 2 in a row, and then he had like a 10-game stretch before that where he had no home runs. So really, look at the bottom of this lineup. If it's Mercado, Oliver Miller, Andrew Jimenez, like definitely, some like sort of Jack. So just to kind of recap here, between these 2 games, between Odorizzi, Jack, Quantrill, and Hernandez, I think you have some very, very solid options to pair with Gossman, Cole, if we find out everything's okay with him, or Montas, to be able to get to this course stack. And here we are at the course game. For one time, DK has actually priced up the Padres, which usually sometimes the first game at Coors, sometimes teams are mispriced, but Tatis, I believe, is the most expensive guy on the slate at 6.1. He's back from injury now. The shoulder seems to be doing okay. He had 2 home runs in the game. Welcome back yesterday. So, and maybe he'll rest tonight. Sometimes we see that. We saw Schwarber come back and then he was off the next day. So don't be surprised if he's not in the lineup. Manny's up there at 5.4 and Pham is at 5.2. You never know like who they're going to mix and match in this lineup, or really bad things like Grisham might pop up to the leadoff spot or move up, being a lefty there. You might see some of the other guys move in. The one thing that I kind of hate right now is Tatis and Cronenworth are both at shortstop and only at shortstop, so you can only play one of them on DK. So I think when I make my builds, if I can get up to Tatis, I might just go down with Cronenworth, but we'll get to that in lineup building. On the other side, Rockies, I really, really like them against Weathers. Weathers has been a horrible pitcher. You've got a lot of great righties here. You've got Joe leading off at 2.8, lock button right there. First base, outfield, wherever you want to put him. But actually, I think you'd lock in first base. CJ Cron, he has been having an amazing season, quietly under the radar, really solid. So I really like that. Brendan Rodgers stories. I'd even throw McMahon in the stack there, even though it's lefty and lefty. Daza might come in and bat like second or up top 2 as a righty in place of one of the outfielders. Blackman's been cold recently. I don't think I play 4-3 for him. He might have low ownership, so it might be contrarian. So lots to pick from this game. Next, we have Mets at San Francisco. Rich over the hill. And Kevin Gossman, like I said, I really like Gossman here. I think he's the SP1 with just the questions on Cole. I think Cole would be, number 2 tonight in options for high price pitchers. The Mets, I think if you want a contrarian stack, Gossman, as every other pitcher, has struggled here and there. It's been a couple of games since he gave up the 6 to Pittsburgh. So, if you think Gossman's going to be super popular and you want to do a Mets contrarian stack, then that's fine. But I think, they're going to be a fade for me tonight in San Francisco. The wind does still look like it's blowing out at 18 miles per hour. That really hasn't helped offense recently in the games there. Like this weekend, I stacked San Francisco. Well, I stacked San Francisco and Boston every single slate that they play, just as part of my everyday GPP thing, which has been very good. But as I look at it, yes, the games against the Rockies where the wind was blowing out for the last couple of days, whereas like I think 5-4, 1-4, 5-2. So it really hasn't been a huge upside factor. So it doesn't scare me off Gossman. I do like San Francisco as like a cheap stack. And, it's weird to say San Francisco is a cheap stack, but look at them. Austin Slater could be leading off at 2-2. Chris Bryant is under 5K at 4.9. Buster Posey, 4K, very reasonable, having a great season. And they're facing a left-handed pitcher here. So I think they're one of my very favorites, cheap stacks tonight. Ruff, batting fourth at 2.5. Longoria is back in lineup at third base at 3.5. Crawford, I probably would play lefty. He's 4.2, a little expensive. Flores, depending on where he is in the lineup, at 3.5. And Solano at 2.3. So there's a lot of great value there. Finally, we have Steven Brault, who's not a horrible pitcher, not a gas can for Pittsburgh, but he's up against a Dodger lineup that's just absolutely loaded. And especially, you've got some righties. Justin Turner should be back here. Not sure about Mookie Betts yet or not, but you still have Trey Turner there, Pollock, who's really come around. Will Smith, like you have Chris Taylor, you have so many righties there that I wouldn't play Brault. I think the Dodgers make a great late night hammer stack in a GPP, but I wouldn't use them at cash. I don't think there's enough equity there to outshine San Diego and Colorado and Coors, but they're definitely my second favorite GPP stack. Pittsburgh, it is a bullpen game, but the Dodgers do have a bullpen. I've seen David Price, I've seen Andre Jackson, I've seen a bunch of people starting here, so not really have any idea what this pitching situation is going to be. If it is David Price, and it does look like he might go 4 or 5 and just have a regular start and not be an opener, I think, he's definitely somebody that could enter into the conversation with Odorizzi, Jack, Quantrill, and C. Hernandez as a cheap pitcher. But I think he'd be 8K, so he'd be more the Toussaint Miley range probably. So Dodger bats definitely, if you want to do a stack in GPP. Pittsburgh, if you want to do leverage, there's some really cheap guys here. Rodolph Castro, even though he bats down in the order, had a couple decent games recently. I threw him as a punt a couple days ago, and he had like 10 DK points, so that's cool. Like Park, when he's been leading off, he's 2K. Sometimes he has a little bit of power. He's hit a couple home runs here and there, so had like a 13 or 14 DK point game, surrounded by a couple bagels where he got 0. So Pittsburgh definitely interesting. So let me just break everything down and I'll go to roster construction for you. So the high price pitchers in order are going to be Gossman, Cole, and Montas. Medium range, Toussaint and Wade Miley, but Miley has no K upside. Just keep that in mind. For the cheap ones, like Odorizzi, Jack, Quantrill, who's had like 5 or 6 straight quality starts, and C. Hernandez, I had a pick among them. I think I would probably go Quantrill, Odorizzi, Jax, C. Hernandez in that order. And then I'm fading Harvey, McHugh, Keuchel, and Hill. So my top stacks, San Diego, definitely Cincinnati, but watch the weather there. Tampa Bay against Harvey, and then New York Yankees against Suarez there, where they get a lefty. GPP, definitely Colorado, number 1. I think you make a case for Colorado in cash. I just sometimes just body of work throughout the whole year, even though this is a good matchup. That's why I put them on the GPP, because, they have disappointed at times. LA Dodgers, I think, are a clear number 2. Oakland would be number 3. Houston, number 4. I think, again, grinded out runs, not too much power there. Atlanta would be number 5, but kind of off my board because I only put it 4. And the cheap ones, love San Francisco in their matchup against Rich Hill. very, very cheap there. The Cubs are interesting with some power against Wade Miley, who really doesn't throw hard. Kansas City is interesting against Odorizzi, who has melted down a little bit, and they do have a 4.71 total. Cleveland against the young pitcher Jax is interesting too, but really not super interested there. There's so many different not really many players on Cleveland besides maybe the first four that I consider. And I really like him against left-hand pitcher, bat and right. So leverage stacks, definitely the White Sox against Montas if he's going to be popular. If people don't want to pay up for Gossman, or they look at the wind and say, I'm not going to touch that, and Cole is questionable with COVID, then Montas might be the clear chalk SP1 tonight. People trying to save money, so White Sox would be great leverage there. Miami against Tucson, if he is going to be very popular. The Angels against Cole, if he's not going to be 100%, and Pittsburgh would probably be the final leverage stack. And like I said, you maybe the Mets too, but I'm not super interested in them. Okay, so that's the full breakdown. Let's look at a couple lineup constructions here. I will actually be nice today and not just talk about it, but I will share my screen and bring up DK. Second. Okay, so pitching wise, like I said, let me take it off San Francisco and put it on everybody. I think I'm going to start with Toussaint and build from there. So for San Diego, I think they definitely are going to be the clear stack that we are looking for. So where are they? Arrow there. San Diego, where are you? There we go. Okay, so hitters. Nola might be in, but I think it's going to be Carantini. If it is Nola, that could change my strategy a little bit because he's significantly more expensive. But I think I'm going to go with Carantini. I definitely like Frazier. I think I can squeeze in Machado. I think I'm going to skip Tatis. And I think I am going to go Cronenworth there just for the almost 2K in savings. Yeah, I can go down on pitching or maybe some other places, but I think I'm going to go Cronenworth. I kind of have a feeling maybe Tatis rests after being back for one day, but we'll see what happens there. Not saying Tatis is a bad play, not saying fade Tatis. I'm just saying in my construction, I'm leaving myself a little bit more money, and I think I'm going to go Grissom here. So those are the five I'm taking for San Diego. And if I take the 5 here, then that really helps me get some of these. Like I said, CJ Cron, I really like him there. And if Joe's leading off, really like him there. So that is leaving like 6K. So I can get up to Gossman or Cole if I want to and put outfield. I can go Montas and get a little better outfielder. I can go one of the mid-range guys and move Cronenworth up to Tatis and then still have a decent outfielder there. So I think, this is definitely the primary build that I'm going to be looking at. If I am playing the Rockies, let me take out. So I might leave Carantini in as catcher if he's the one that's going to be in there. So if I'm looking at the Rockies, I'm definitely taking Story. I will take Brendan Rodgers, Connor Joe. So these are the 4 that I'm going to take. And like I said, I think McMahon would be my next one that I put in there. He's 4.6, so he's a little bit expensive. At that rate, you might just want to go up to Machado or leave it open. If you go and want to pay up for pitcher and want to go with Gossman as your pitcher, it's not bad because it still leaves you like 3.5 for third base, outfield. Like I said, there's some really good punts. If you look at Houston, there's a couple, their outfielders like Brantley and think like McCormick or even Myers are decent plays there. I always like Straw, like leading off to there. If you're not playing jacks against him, then, you know, he's in low 2K range. He can get on base, steal a base. His score adds up. So I think these are definitely the ones I'm looking at. And like I said, there's so many other stacks that you could throw in here. But I think, you know, Gossman, Toussaint would probably be my favorite combination for pitchers. And then you throw in your Cincinnati stack, your Tampa Bay stack, your Yankee stack, your Dodger stack, like however you want to go tonight. San Francisco Giants, love them too. You might be able to get up and pay for 2 pitchers with them because they are very cheap. You might be able to get Cole Gossman or Gossman Montas or Cole Montas, whatever combination there. So I am Mega Ruler 31. I appreciate you guys watching this. So give us a like, leave comments below. We love interacting with you guys. Subscribe to our channel so you know our videos are coming out. And good luck tonight, and we'll see you next time.